Hi, I'm Emma, a 35-year-old working in a software company alongside my husband, John. My life, typically a harmony of code and coffee, took an unexpected turn when my sister Emily, who was on an important business trip, entrusted me with picking up her daughter, my niece Sarah, from preschool for a few days. Little did I know, this routine task would spiral into a sequence of events that would forever change our lives. That fateful day, I was in the middle of a crucial project meeting when my phone buzzed incessantly. Glancing at the screen, I saw multiple missed calls from Sarah's preschool. A knot of worry formed in my stomach as I excused myself from the meeting, my heart pounding in my ears. The preschool's director, Mrs. Jenkins, sounded frantic as she explained that Sarah had developed a slight fever and, per their policy, needed to be picked up immediately. Unfortunately, Emily was unreachable, leaving them no choice but to call me their emergency contact. I remember dashing through the crowded streets, my thoughts a jumbled mess. Arriving at the preschool, I was met with a sight that made my blood run cold. Sarah, my usually energetic niece, was being loaded into an ambulance, her small face flushed and her eyes closed. Mrs. Jenkins, pale and trembling, recounted how Sarah's condition had rapidly deteriorated. Emily, preoccupied with her trip, had overlooked the preschool's strict policy on sick children. At the hospital, the scene was grim. Sarah lay unconscious, a tangle of tubes and wires monitoring her every breath. The doctors were doing everything they could, but her fever was relentless. I tried reaching out to Emily and John, but neither responded, deepening my sense of helplessness. I felt like I was drowning, unable to reach the surface. Days turned into a blur. My parents, with faces etched in worry, joined me at Sarah's bedside, offering silent support. We watched as Sarah fought bravely, but her tiny body was succumbing to the illness. Conversations with the doctors became increasingly somber, their words a soft echo in the cold, sterile room. Amid this chaos, the absence of Emily and John was like a gaping wound. I couldn't understand how Emily, usually so responsible, could be unreachable at such a critical time. And John, my partner in life, was also mysteriously absent. The weight of their absence was suffocating, leaving me to face this storm alone. As Sarah's condition worsened, my mind was plagued with guilt and what-ifs. Had I missed some crucial sign of her illness that day? Should I have been more vigilant, more assertive with Emily about Sarah's health? These questions haunted me, swirling in my mind like a relentless storm. And then the unthinkable happened. Sarah, the little girl with a bright smile and a heart full of dreams, slipped away from us. The world seemed to stop as I sat there, numb, staring at her still form. The pain of loss was indescribable, a void that seemed to consume everything. Planning Sarah's funeral was a task I never imagined I'd face. With each passing day, Emily's silence became more baffling, more painful. I was lost in a sea of grief, each wave crashing over me with relentless force. The questions remained unanswered, the guilt unrelenting. And as I stood there, amidst the condolences and sympathetic looks, I couldn't help but wonder, why hadn't I done more? Why hadn't I stopped Emily from leaving? The weight of these unanswerable questions was crushing, a burden I knew I would carry for the rest of my life. The day of Sarah's funeral arrived with a heavy sky, mirroring the sorrow in my heart. It was a day I had dreaded, a day to say goodbye to my niece, whose laughter once filled our lives with joy. Amidst the somber preparations, an unexpected call pierced through the gloom. It was Emily, my sister. Her voice, cheerful and oblivious, asked about souvenirs from her trip, a stark contrast to the grief enveloping me. I felt a surge of anger at her unawareness, a bitterness that felt alien in my own heart. With a trembling voice, I broke the news of Sarah's passing. Her silence on the other end was deafening. I urged her to return immediately, my words laced with a pain only a grieving heart could understand. The funeral was a blur of faces and condolences, a storm of emotions raging within me. Sadness, anger, and disbelief swirled together, creating a tumult that threatened to overwhelm me. Then, in a moment that seemed surreal, Emily arrived at the crematorium, her expression one of confusion and shock. But it wasn't just her arrival that stunned me. Behind her, to my utter disbelief, was John, my husband. Their simultaneous appearance raised a storm of questions in my mind. Their presence, rather than providing comfort, deepened the chasm of pain. I couldn't fathom their connection or why they would arrive together at such a critical moment. My heart ached with a myriad of emotions, but the grief for Sarah overshadowed everything, preventing me from confronting them. After the cremation, we gathered at my parents' house, a place that once echoed with Sarah's giggles. It was there, amidst the whispered condolences and somber faces, that a painful truth began to unfold. I noticed matching stickers on Emily and John's luggage, a detail that seemed trivial yet inexplicably significant. The stickers were from the same exotic destination, a silent testament to a shared journey. Confronted with this evidence, the dam of secrets broke. John, with a look of remorse I had never seen before, admitted to an affair with Emily. The words hit me like a physical blow, a betrayal that cut deeper than I could have imagined. Not only had they been unfaithful, but their negligence had also contributed to the neglect of Sarah in her time of need. A whirlwind of emotions engulfed me. Anger, betrayal, heartbreak, each emotion more intense than the last. I lashed out at them, my words fueled by a pain so profound it felt like a physical entity. I accused them of contributing to Sarah's death, their carelessness and selfishness becoming a target for my grief-stricken wrath. In a moment of overwhelming emotion, words that I never thought I'd utter spilled from my lips. I declared that they were dead to me, disowning Emily and initiating the end of my marriage with John. It was a declaration born from a place of deep hurt, a response to the double betrayal that had shattered my world. As I stood there, amidst the remnants of my broken family, the reality of my situation sank in. The sister I had loved and trusted, the husband I had shared my life with, had both betrayed me in the most unimaginable way. Their affair was a wound that would take a long time to heal, a scar that would always remind me of this dark chapter. In the days that followed, the house felt eerily silent, a stark contrast to the happy chaos that once filled it. Memories of Sarah haunted every corner, her absence a constant reminder of what had been lost. The betrayal of Emily and John lingered like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over my attempts to navigate through the grief. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with the daunting task of rebuilding my life from the ruins of betrayal and loss. But amidst the turmoil, a resolve began to take shape within me, a determination to find strength in my pain, to emerge from this storm not just as a survivor, but as someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. As I looked back at the shattered pieces of my life, I knew the journey ahead would be long and arduous. But in that moment of quiet reflection, I also knew that I would eventually find my way through the darkness, guided by the light of my own resilience and the love that still resided, unbroken, in my heart. The aftermath of Sarah's death unfolded like a tragic play, with the courtroom as its stage. The legal proceedings that ensued were a blur of accusations, testimonies, and legal jargon. The preschool director, Mrs. Jenkins, took a firm stand, accusing Emily and John of gross negligence and child abuse. Her voice trembled with emotion as she recounted the events leading to Sarah's untimely death, painting a picture of carelessness that the court found hard to ignore. As the trial progressed, the weight of the situation became increasingly heavy. The courtroom was filled with a palpable tension, a mix of sympathy for Sarah and disdain for the accused. The judge, a stern figure with a compassionate gaze, listened intently to each testimony, his expression often reflecting the gravity of the case. Finally, the verdict was delivered. Emily was sentenced to 8 years and John to 4. As the sentences were read out, a strange mix of relief and emptiness filled me. While part of me felt that justice was being served, another part couldn't help but feel that no amount of prison time could ever compensate for the loss of Sarah. She was more than a case number or a subject of legal proceedings. She was a bright, young life cut tragically short. In the wake of the trial, I found myself standing amidst the ruins of my life. The betrayal by my sister and husband had left a deep, gaping wound in my heart. But amidst the pain, there was a flicker of determination. I knew I had to rebuild my life, to find some semblance of normalcy in a world that had been turned upside down. The divorce from John was a necessary closure. He accepted full responsibility for his actions, and the generous settlement he provided was a small, yet significant, step towards my new beginning. But money could never replace the trust that was broken, nor could it fill the void left by Sarah's absence. The journey of healing was slow and arduous. There were days when the weight of my grief felt unbearable, moments when the loneliness threatened to engulf me. But with each passing day, I took small steps forward. I started attending therapy sessions, where I poured out my heart's anguish. The therapist, a kind woman with a gentle voice, guided me through the maze of my emotions, helping me to process the loss and betrayal. I'd also found solace in writing. Pouring my thoughts onto paper was therapeutic, a way to externalize the turmoil that churned within. I wrote about Sarah, about the happy moments we shared and the pain of losing her. I wrote about Emily and John, about betrayal and forgiveness. With each word, I felt a piece of my burden lifting. Reconnecting with old friends and making new ones also played a crucial role in my recovery. They were my support system, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. Their presence reminded me that, despite everything, I was not alone. I'd also immersed myself in my work. The familiar routine of coding and problem-solving provided a welcome distraction, a way to channel my focus into something productive. My colleagues, aware of my ordeal, offered their support in subtle yet meaningful ways. As time passed, the pain of loss and betrayal began to dull, replaced by a quiet strength. I learned to cherish the memories of Sarah, letting them bring smiles instead of tears. I learned to accept the betrayal of Emily and John, not as an act of forgiveness, but as a way to free myself from the chains of anger and resentment. Rebuilding my life was not about erasing the past, but about learning to live with it. It was about finding joy in small moments, about cherishing the love and support of those around me. It was a journey of rediscovery, of finding who I was beyond the grief and betrayal. As I stood at the threshold of a new chapter in my life, I realized that while the past could not be changed, the future was still mine to shape. With each step forward, I grew stronger, more resilient. The scars remained, a testament to my journey, but they no longer defined me. Instead, they were a reminder of my ability to endure, to heal, and to hope. In this new phase of my life, I embraced the possibilities that lay ahead. I knew there would be challenges, but I also knew that I had the strength to face them. With a heart still capable of love and a spirit undeterred by life's storms, I stepped forward into a future that was uncertain but filled with the promise of new beginnings. As time gently healed the wounds of my past, life slowly began to blossom anew. In the soft light of dawn, I found love again, a gentle and unexpected gift. He was a fellow software developer, a kind-hearted man who understood the language of my heart. Together, we embarked on a journey of shared dreams and hopes. Our love soon blossomed into the birth of a child, a symbol of new beginnings and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Holding my baby for the first time was a moment of profound joy, a feeling so pure it seemed to wash away the remnants of past sorrows. This tiny, innocent life in my arms was a precious gift, a treasure I vowed to cherish and protect. As my child grew, they became a source of immeasurable strength and joy. Their laughter filled the house with a warmth that had been missing for so long. Each milestone, from their first words to their first steps, was a celebration, a reminder of the beauty and wonder of life. My child taught me to see the world through fresh, unjaded eyes, to appreciate the simple pleasures that are often overlooked. Yet, even amidst this newfound happiness, the memory of Sarah lingered. She was like a delicate shadow, a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. Her memory became a guiding light in my journey as a mother, inspiring me to embrace every second with gratitude and love. My sister and John, now serving their sentences, were constant reminders of the consequences of our actions. The weight of their choices would be a burden they carried for the rest of their lives. As for me, I was determined to be the mother Sarah never had the chance to have, present, loving, and mindful of the preciousness of each day. Through the tapestry of these experiences, I learned invaluable lessons. I learned about the importance of forgiveness, not as an act of condoning the past, but as a way of freeing myself from the chains of bitterness and resentment. Forgiving Emily and John was a difficult path, one that required me to face my deepest pains and let go of the anger that had once consumed me. I also learned about the power of healing. Healing didn't mean forgetting Sarah or the pain of her loss. It meant accepting the scars as part of my story, allowing them to remind me of my strength and resilience. It was a journey of rediscovering joy and hope, of finding peace in the midst of past turmoil. As I watched my child play, their laughter a sweet melody in the air, I realized that life, in all its complexity, was a beautiful gift. The past had shaped me, but it did not define me. I was a survivor, a mother, a wife, and so much more. In the quiet moments, when the world seemed to pause, I often thought of Sarah. In her memory, I found the courage to live each day with purpose and love. She was a part of my story, a chapter that would never be forgotten. And so, as I walked forward into the future, I did so with a heart full of gratitude and eyes open to the wonders of life. The journey had been long and filled with trials, but it had led me to a place of hope and new beginnings. In the end, life, with all its ups and downs, was a precious journey, one that I was now ready to embrace with an open heart and a renewed spirit.